and I started applying because I just wanted to test out the waters.
Damn, that okay. Some valuable points out there. Okay.
Yeah. Just the very first interview call, the HR interview call I got was probably after my 100th application. If I remember correctly, I think I got 3 internships at the end.
Okay.
One in France, one in Belgium, one in Sweden. Based on that, I was able to extend that internship till the end of November. I don't know if I would say lucky, but in my case, it was the other way around. So towards the end...
It's lucky, bro.
But then she asked me, but personally, Himanshu, what's your plan? Do you want to stay here in France? The offer in India, monetary-wise, was much better than here in France.
Himanshu, give 5 tips to this person. What would the 5 tips be? Before we get started, I just wanted to tell you guys that we are filming outside in this beautiful place called Bois de Vincennes. And I'm going to take a quick video to show how beautiful this place is, man.
Oh, man. I love this park, man.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? TIMVIX here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And hello, Himanshu.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back. I'm saying welcome back because we just finished filming one video where we talk in detail about his experience as an MDI international business student.
That's right.
Where he does MBA in India at MDI, and then he comes to ESCP as an exchange student. And it's a very, very informational video, packed with information about his experiences, do's and don'ts. So if you haven't watched that video yet, do go check it out. But in this video, I think we're going to focus exclusively on the topic of jobs, because I think that's one question we both get quite a lot.
Yeah.
Me as a full-time MIM student and Himanshu as an international business student. So let's start with the basics.
Okay.
Before you came to ESCP, I do know that you were doing engineering in mechanical.
That's right.
And after that, you got placed in India. You were working in India. So
Right.
Where were you working? What were you working as? How long did you work?
I did my engineering from Delhi College of Engineering, or also known as Delhi Technological University. I studied there for 4 years. I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering from 2013 to 2017. And right after I graduated, I joined Maruti Suzuki. I was expecting to get into a core engineering role, like engine design, transmission design, or interior design and all that. But somehow, by luck or by whatever, I ended up getting this domain, which is called product cost management, which is a bit different. It's a mixture of technical and commercial thing. Because you need to know the technical stuff behind all the products that you are dealing with. But then on the other side, you are dealing with suppliers, you are negotiating with suppliers, so you are working as kind of a supply chain role as well.
Okay.
So I worked at Maruti Suzuki for almost full 3 years.
Did this role have some influence on your decision for doing MBA after?
It sort of did, because it was a commercial role. Okay. So I was already dealing with a lot of topics you will deal with after doing a master's in management degree. So it sort of gave me the push. I think I liked the commercial side of it, and I wanted to learn more about that. And towards the end of second year at my time at Maruti Suzuki, I realized that I need to move on now. I started my preparation for the CAT, and then I joined MDI's International Business Program.
One of the key things about doing MBA or MIM is that when you study in these schools, you are always surrounded by people with experiences.
Right.
And always at ESCP, whenever we have classes, we are always sharing our experiences. Like every single case study that you work on.
Exactly.
It's interesting to see why a student is coming up with that particular reason or a solution for that case. And you'll always link it back to his or her experience in the past. So having worked at Maruti Suzuki for 3 years, you have your fair bit of experience, and it's good that you were able to contribute and share it in the class. So like we discussed in the previous video, time crunch. It's like a big issue for MDI exchange students.
Yeah.
and you have to do a mandatory internship. Not mandatory in Europe, but it has to be an internship.
It has to be an internship,
And
minimum 8 to 10 weeks.
8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And you found a very good internship in France, in Paris.
In Paris, yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I did my internship at Forasia at their headquarters in Nanterre, very close to Paris. It was a digital project management domain. Something very different, something I hadn't done in the past.
May I ask if that was the particular role that you were looking for, or you were just searching for an internship?
When you come here, you already know that finding an internship is going to be the biggest challenge. So you are not picky. You are never picky. So if I could have shown you my laptop and my internship folder, I had a CV for every domain. I had a CV for marketing, for supply chain, for product management, for literally for every domain. So I had my preference for sure. I knew that these are the kind of roles where I would be a better fit and where my previous experience would come as an advantage. My top priority was getting an internship in Europe.
Okay.
That was my top priority.
Not even France, anywhere in Europe?
Anywhere in Europe.
Okay, so that was your goal.
Right.
Okay.
So I was applying majority in France because I was studying in France. So for sure that was the easiest option.
Also the value of the school name, no?
Exactly.
ESCP, I mean ESCP is a very European school, but then again it's a French school.
It's a
so
French, yeah.
I think from my experience so far, it's very, very, very well known in France.
Right.
It is well known in other places, but not as much as France. So
that's true. So for sure I was leaning on that advantage of that ESCP name. So I think 60-70% of the time I was applying for a role here in France, for an internship here, and rest in different countries in Europe. It was a tough ride. It was a very tough ride. So I started applying sometime around middle of December. So even before I came to ESCP, I was at MDI and I started applying because I just wanted to test out the waters.
Damn, that okay. Some valuable points out there. Okay.
Yeah, I think towards the mid of December, you finish your second term at MDI, and you have some time before you go to France.
Okay.
Or whatever campus you are allotted to. So I was like, okay, let's test out the water. I had already prepared my CV by then, so I started my applications. Obviously, I was not getting positive replies from the companies. And maybe you wouldn't believe, even with my 3 years of work experience in a good company, even with my bachelor's degree from a very good school in India, the first interview call, just the very first interview call, the HR interview call I got was probably after my 100th application.
Yeah.
And this is something I think I sort of expected this, but not to this
extent.
This extent, yeah. I was expecting maybe I would apply to 20-30 roles, then I would start getting calls, but
I don't have a very dramatic reaction to this because I did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And in my case, I did not have a 3-year work experience. I just finished my bachelor's.
Yeah.
Immediately came to ESCP as a full-time student. And then when I was searching for my internship, I knew, I had also heard from the seniors that it's a bit tricky to find internship. And I think I ended up sending like almost 100 applications.
Yeah.
And the first call I ever got was after the 100th. So it's very familiar for me, but it is crazy. Yeah,
it's a reality. I think you have to be mentally prepared to face that challenge. So I got my internship towards the end of March.
Wow,
and I started applying middle of December. So 3.5 months.
3.5 months, okay.
Right. But towards the end, I didn't just get one internship. If I remember correctly, I think I got 3 internships at the end.
Okay.
One in France, one in Belgium, one in Sweden.
Okay, and what made you choose France?
First, it was easier because I was living in France. With the one internship in Sweden, there was an issue with the work visa because they needed a work visa.
Okay.
And I knew I would have a much better shot at converting this into a full-time role.
Okay. Okay, strategic.
Yeah. So I did my own pros and cons analysis, and at the end, I realized this was the most logical choice. Even though the roles I was getting in those other 2 internships, I felt it to be better than this role.
Okay.
But at the end, I was playing a long game, so I thought, okay, this is better.
Absolutely. The environment in which you were working was more international, because I did an internship in Faurecia as well.
Right.
And honestly, I felt it was a very nice place to work. It was very international. People were very friendly.
Right.
So
I think for me, it's one of the reason I would say my internship phase at Faurecia to this date, it was the best professional experience of my life. Even it was an internship, but the type of people I was working with, the kind of freedom I was given, the kind of trust I was given during that internship was something I felt very, very different from my work experience in India. In India, I felt like even though I had a full-time job, even with after working 2 years, for example, at Suzuki, your top management is still not, I would say, fully sure about you. There's still a lot of culture of micromanagement. Here, even as an intern, I was given the trust to, okay, Himanshu, it's your project. We are there to guide you, we are there to support you, but you manage it as your own.
I'm very sure that your experience at Faurecia was amazing, because you ended up extending your internship contract with Faurecia.
Right.
And then ultimately ended up getting a full-time role as well, which we'll go later into. But you were working as a full-time intern.
Yes.
And then you switched to a part-time internship, which is very uncommon in France. So how did you do it?
Towards the end of my full-time phase of internship, I was asked by my manager. So by that time, I hadn't finished my project, and I had already built a good rapport with my manager. So she was the one who asked me, Himanshu, if your school allows it, would it be possible to extend this internship? I know you cannot do it full time because you will start your fall semester. But even if you can do it part time, we would be happy to do that. So I talked to ESCP. I asked if it is possible. They told me that as an intern with your visa status, you can work total number of hours. I don't remember what's the total number of hours. So then I counted, I did 5 years of full-time, the number of hours I worked. I was working 35 hours per week. And then what's my remaining hours? And based on that, I was able to extend that internship till the end of November. So I was doing 3 days at school and 2 days at Faurecia.
Were you also searching for jobs through MDI, or were you just dependent on ESCP or like Faurecia?
Right. So for your full-time jobs, at MDI, things are quite straightforward, I would say. Same as for the traditional MBA, PGDM students, we have final placements at campus, which are common with the PGDM folks. So there you don't really have to worry about anything. The whole placement season is organized by the campus, by the placement committee. It starts sometime around November in your second year of your MBA, and it lasts for around roughly 2 months, where all the big companies from all the different industries, they come to your campus, and then based on your CV, based on your work experience, you are shortlisted for different roles, and then you end up getting a job. So that is, I would say, it's pretty straightforward, and all of us who are opting to do that, you can even opt out of that process. If you don't want a job in India, you can say, okay, I don't want to be a part of that process. But all of the people who want to be a part of that process, they will end up getting a job in India for sure, and they will end up getting a really good job because of the status of MDI. But here in Europe, if you want to get a job here in Europe, you have to do things yourself. With the help of ESCP, their name and their career guidance and all that. Right.
So you had this discussion with your manager at Faurecia that you want to stay full time, and they were willing to offer you a full time role immediately.
So in my case, it was, I don't know if I would say lucky, but in my case, it was the other way around. So towards the end,
it's lucky, bro. It's called lucky. No, happy for you, but yeah.
I think it was towards the end of my internship, so sometime around October, November, when my manager proposed me a career interview meeting. So she was the one who proposed me. I didn't know what to expect from that. I just looked at my calendar and she booked a slot, like a career meeting. But then she asked me, but personally, Himanshu, what's your plan? do you want to stay here in France? Do you see yourself staying here in France and with Faurecia?
Okay.
And for me, I think in my mind, by that time, my experience at Faurecia and living here in France, it was pretty clear that I wanted to stay here. Maybe not for my life, but at least for the next few
couple
years.
of years. Yeah.
So I told her for sure I would be very interested in doing that. But then for sure it also depends on the role, and the kind of offer that I could get here. And there was this opportunity at the Briere office where I'm currently working in the south of Paris. And then for sure, I mean, she started the process, but I had to go through the entire process of doing interviews and all that. Even though, being very honest, the offer I got from India at Deloitte, if you consider purchasing power parity, what €1 can buy you in India and what €1 can buy you here in France, the offer in India, monetary wise, was much better than here in France.
Okay.
But for me, I think I knew it was going to happen. I knew the average salary I would be getting after my MBA. But in my mind, I was mentally prepared for that. I knew this is one of the things that I would not be at my top priority. For me, getting a job here was, I mean, it meant more to me than getting a higher salary somewhere else. If you compare these days salaries in India, in the States and in Europe,
Okay.
there is a difference. There's a big difference. In States, for sure, the salaries are much higher.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking only at the number aspect, salary, the number, then definitely I think there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
But then if you are considering other benefits,
Yeah.
like, RTTs, like your paid holidays and the benefits from your companies, the working hours, the working culture.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think those are the things where things start getting
Those
a
are
bit
the
different.
intangible benefits. For sure, it makes a huge difference.
But then if you are considering other benefits,
Yeah.
like, RTTs, like your paid holidays and the benefits from your companies, the working hours, the working culture.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think those are the things where things start getting
Those
a
are
bit
the
different.
intangible benefits. For sure, it makes a huge difference.
So let's say like there's someone who is doing an internship and who is looking for a full-time position, trying to convert it into a full-time position.
Right.
If I say like, Himanshu, give 5 tips to this person, what would the 5 tips be?
So if you are doing an internship here in Europe, you are already at an advantage compared to, for example, if you are doing an internship in India. That's why I suggest to the students who are doing this international business course, it's gonna be tough finding an internship here, but give it your 200%. Find an internship here. Even if you are not able to convert that into a full-time role, you have that international work experience in your CV. Don't take it lightly. I saw that among a few of my batchmates that they put in a lot of efforts getting that internship. They applied to maybe 100-200 companies, but when they got that internship, they were doing just the bare minimum just to finish their task. They were not going over the line to show their interest.
Okay, so first point is give your 100% to find an internship first. Second point is to go beyond
what is expected of you.
from you. Third point,
build networks. That's so common, that's so obvious, but
it is obvious, but people miss out on that. Yeah. Especially when you're a foreigner, I feel there's a lot of inhibition in terms of language. Sometimes the conversation is not as smooth as it would be in English or in French.
Right.
So there is a little bit of hindrance. So both the parties have to be a bit patient, but then I think it is very, very important that you have to do it.
Right.
Break the ice and network.
And not just within the team you're working with.
Exactly.
Even outside of team. You never know, because if you're converting your internship to a full-time role, it's not necessarily you are going to be working in the exact same role. Maybe there's some other opening in some other team and they see something in you. They see with your previous experience or whatever, which was my case. Fourth point, again a very obvious one, but the most difficult one, learn the language.
In my opinion, you don't have to be extremely fluent in the language to begin with. But even when the people see that you're putting some effort,
Right.
it totally changes the dynamic.
Right.
Totally.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that you are not going to learn language in 3 or 6 months.
Exactly, yeah.
But you have to show that because the company is investing you for a long term. So you have to show in long term, okay, you are making that effort. And one thing it shows is that you are interested, that you are thinking about long term. If you are showing that you are interested because you are thinking about staying in the country for a longer term.
And the last one.
Last one, I would say, don't completely rely on your internship, venture out. Because sometimes you might think that, okay, for sure your internship is your best shot of getting that full-time role. But it's not your only shot.
So the main camera died, the battery died, but the show must go on. But I think we covered up pretty much everything. But again, if you have any specific questions that we did not talk about in this video, then put them down in the comments below, and also I'll be sharing Himanshu's LinkedIn and Instagram in the description below, so you can reach out to him. Do not ask the questions for which you can find the answers on the websites and the brochures. So do your homework and ask questions that are really relevant, you know. But yeah, thank you so much, man.
Thanks,
Thanks
man.
for
It was
your
such a
time.
pleasure.
I hope you found this video to be useful. If you did, then consider subscribing, hit that like button, and yeah, we will catch up with you all in the next one. Till then, goodbye.
Goodbye, guys.